our reporters literally scour through information that was so vital and so important to keep quiet. Now, what we referenced before was that Exhibit 13 was made public. That was the confidentiality agreement. What Kevin's looking at is Exhibit 10 and 11, and what that agreement is, or what I should say those documents are, is that secret meeting that they had on October 18th that they said, this is what we are going to do, this is what we will expose, let's make a deal. And then all of a sudden that transaction was in a sense ripped up, rewritten. But what was so controversial that the mayor said, yes, sign it, deliver it, give them the money, is what is inside those documents.
And I think the key here is that in that packet, there are no text messages. This basically is the backstory into how all of this unfolded. And as we heard the attorneys for the Detroit News and the Free Press say, this kind of points to the bigger picture, the conspiracy, if you will, to keep this, to keep the text messages secret, and also to keep this entire thing secret.
And one of the reasons why the mayor said he wanted to keep some of this information private was he was referencing things like financial records. And from what we know from our investigation, some of the incriminating evidence was financial records perhaps of Christine Beatty and her purchase of her home for $255,000 home, how it was financed through a loan of Fifth Third Bank, how she was given special grant money, whether or not there was any type of help through the mayor's office or through the city for her to finance that. So there's a question on that. There was a reference to medical records, and that obviously leads us to wonder what type of medical records, because Herschel Fink and James Stewart, the attorneys representing the newspapers, really were not exactly clear in terms of what he was referencing on that. So that kind of opens up a question there as well.
There is a clear line that has been drawn through Detroit City Hall, where you have the mayor on one side of it, and you have the city attorney on the side with him, and then you have city council even saying, release these documents. We heard from Sheila Cockrell live when Hank Winchester was talking to her. She's saying, hey, you're not a dictator. You're not a dictator. These are public documents. Release it. Stop fighting. And finally, as we heard Kevin say moments ago, the city is going to stop fighting this, and we are going to finally find out what's inside these documents. In fact, I think we're hearing Kevin's almost
going to speak with us, and when he does, he will. Kevin, can you hear us right now? Kevin Dietz, you are live right now inside of Robert Colombo's
We're back in the courtroom of Judge Robert Colombo, where the secret agreement has now been released. I just want to read a couple of highlights that we've been able to look at so far. This first one is from Exhibit 11. It's titled The Settlement Agreement. It says, Stefani and Stefani, on behalf of its clients, employees, its shareholders, and investigators, agree to transfer ownership of and surrender to an attorney designated by the mayor and the city all records, original copies of text messages from SkyTel Messaging for text pager leased by the city of Detroit and issued to Christine Beatty, that's the mayor's chief of staff, for the periods of September through October 2002 and April through May 2003 records. S&S, which is Stefani and Stefani, further agrees not to file the supplemental brief for attorney fees and costs containing the excerpted quotations from the records, and to destroy all copies of said brief and to delete from its computers all drafts of the brief and final brief. That's what attorneys for the two newspapers were telling us shows the intended purpose of trying to keep all of this secret. Of course, we now know that those text messages from Christine Beatty, the chief of staff, detailed a relationship between Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick and Christine Beatty, one that both denied in court under oath. That is the subject of now a perjury case being investigated by the Wayne County prosecutor. Here in exhibit number 14 right here, this is called the escrow agreement. Of note in this, it says, the parties agreed to place the records as defined in the proposed settlement agreement in a safe deposit box with a banking institution agreed upon by the two parties, with access to such a box restricted to the parties together. That is, in order for either party to gain access to the box, such party must be accompanied by the other party. In other words, a representative for the mayor and a representative for Stefani and Stefani must both be together at the bank at the same time to gain access into the safety deposit box. We've been told that inside that safety deposit box, of course, was the original and only copy, or so we thought, of all of those text messages between Christine Beatty and Mayor Kwame Kilpatrick, along with personal information about the officers, some of the officers who were fired, and some banking records involving Christine Beatty. So no one could get into that safety deposit box unless both parties were there. It also says representatives agree that representatives will cooperate with Stefani and Stefani in gaining access to the records in that box and allow Stefani and Stefani to regain possession of such records promptly, but in no event longer than 1 business day upon occurrence either of the following developments. So essentially that is the key to Exhibit 14, and that shows that all of these documents which the city and the mayor desperately wanted to keep secret would go into a locked safety deposit box, that each party would have a key to that box, that the only way anyone could get inside that safety deposit box is if both parties were there. And that was to take place. They were to go to that bank within 24 hours of the 3 police officers receiving their checks for $8.5 million. Once they had their money, then the 2 sides would go to the safety deposit box. They would then get the records and do what they want with them. We believe that all of the documents were destroyed after the police officers received their money. We're continuing to go through these documents and get reaction here at the courthouse, and we'll pop back on in a little bit once we get a little more reaction and a little more insight into what we're seeing.
All right, Kevin Dietz reporting live inside Robert Colombo's courtroom as those documents have just been unsealed. They have just been made public, and Kevin is now speaking with James Stewart, it looks like, to the right from the Detroit News. Okay, go ahead, Kevin.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Goodman. What? I'll come back to you in a minute.
Okay, we also have
Mr. Goodman, we're live here on Channel 4. We were wondering if we could get your reaction and what happened.
I think it's a very positive thing for the people of this community that these documents have been released. It shows the importance of transparency in government, of the Freedom of Information Act, and of the role of an independent and strong media, and I think that these are good things. And now that we have these documents, the government can function better, the people will know better how they've been governed up till now, and the city, on behalf of the Detroit City Council, this is excellent, and that's my reaction.
What does it tell you as far as transparency up to this point? What does it tell you about what was going on?
Well, obviously, it's not a good thing to hold back on important information, on critical documents, and we are concerned that this has happened up till now, and council will make the appropriate decisions. This is a very dedicated body of public servants that's going to do the right thing now.
It seems quite clear that City Council was in the dark on this, and they have a clear right, and they actually need to know.
They need to know. That's right. I agree with you.
And what can they do now? How do they move forward from here? Are there steps they can take to make sure that they're aware of things?
That's one of the things they're considering, and that's one of my responsibilities, to give them some suggestions and recommendations as to how to move forward at this point.
As they read through this and see what transpired,
That's a bit about
do
right
they
now.
have any power to
The mayor about to
actually
get
act?
hemmed
What
up.
kinds of things could they do as a body?
I'll get you on later on.
I think I would rather have